baby. Here we go. Here we go.
All right. Answers by Guess. What up there, Guess?
Hey.
How are you, sir?
All right. I'm feeling saucy. Feeling good.
I like it. I like
Feeling good. I got some feelings. I'm catching feelings of week 6.
it. It's crazy. Week 6 already, man. Bye weeks are here now. I mean, it changes pretty much the whole dynamic of how we look at things.
This is the fun time. This is when I feel like we become a little more valuable. This is when strategy comes into play. This is when the going gets tough. The tough get going. That's why 1-4 start, 2-3 start means nothing. You turn it around right now. Starts tonight.
I like it. I like it a lot. Guys, always remember, like us, follow us, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and Patreon. I have been saying that wrong, it seems like, since the beginning. So my bad, everybody. But Guess, go into your Thursday night recap here, sir.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much the same thing. I mean, what's his face? OJ Howard decided to show up finally. We'll see how that goes. Leonard Fournette looked good. You don't hear me say that much, even though I was really big going into him last year. But he's got the job. Still think Ronald Jones gets traded. Miles Sanders had some powerful runs. They didn't use Gainwell. Hurts. I got to tell you a couple things. This goes out to the card guys in the room and the dynasty folk, and I'm a Hurts owner. I don't think it's going to happen. I think his career is going to be short-lived in Philly. I mean, he missed Quez Watkins on a deep ball. He missed Kenny Gainwell on deep ball. He missed a wide-open Zach Ertz on a deep ball. He's done this every single week. Terrible in the first half, and he scores 2 rushing touchdowns in the second half. His fantasy stats are good. I got a feeling this team continues to flounder, if that's the right word. And they get a good draft pick, and they take a quarterback. It might end up being the dude from Georgia. Can't think of his name at the moment. Pinkton? Is it Pinkton? I'm not sure. But just to get somebody that's kind of the same breed as Jalen Hurts. But I feel like if you're in a dynasty, I feel like selling Jalen Hurts now is going to benefit you, or at least before the trade deadline. And if you're a card guy, I feel like getting rid of him might be a good idea. But we'll see. He's getting it done for fantasy for now, so he's valuable for your team. But he missed a lot of open plays. That game could have been better for him. It was good, though.
Yeah, I mean, Brady, the first half, Fournette was running all over the place. They really didn't have to do too much. It was more of an Eagles trying to come back kind of thing in the second half. I don't know, though. It was just such a weird fantasy outing for all the wide receivers besides Antonio Brown, pretty much. I mean, Evans had a down game. Godwin only got looked at in the first half, but they didn't need him. And Fournette was just running all over them. It was a very time-managed kind of game. So,
well, that's what you get with the Bucs wide receivers, and we knew that going into the season. So this week was Brown. Next week will be Godwin. That's a carousel. That's how it goes. Yeah. And they're definitely trying to have Brady set the touchdown record this year. Yeah. Because they're throwing from the 1. They're not even trying to run it in usually. So.
All right, guys, as you see, I'm posting questions here in the comments. We're going to jump into the first game here. Let's go over buys. So first, Atlanta Falcons, New Orleans Saints, San Francisco 49ers, and New York Jets. If you got any of those guys in your lineup, make sure to get them out. All right. First game, London game again. Miami Dolphins at the home team, Jacksonville Jaguars.
Here.
Tua is back.
Yeah.
Talk about how that affects not only your offensive starters that you're looking at that you kind of probably have been playing in Gesicki and Waddle, but does that open it up for anybody else that we are not thinking about? On the flip side, the Jacksonville Jaguars, we know what they are. They're an 0-5 team that's really kind of struggling, but this is their home team. Jacksonville goes over there, that London loves them, and so on and so forth. We say it all the time. They want these to be higher scoring games. Do we see Jacksonville actually stepping up this game? And who is Trevor Lawrence throwing to? Is J-Rob a must start this week?
Yeah, just real quick, Leah and Jeremy, I see you're typing questions in there. We will get to them. Rob had mentioned, in case you missed it, we're going to fly through these games, and then we're going to get to all these questions. We got a boatload tonight. Tuesday show, people asked the question, what do we do for Russell Wilson owner? I said, grab Tua. He's got a great first game back. He's healthy. He's ready to go. There was not even any hesitation. We just hope that the good Tua shows up if you did that. And I did that. And I'm playing this guy.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's my Hail Mary for the week as Russell Wilson owner was Tua against Jacksonville and London. There should be points. There should be points in this game. Dolphins defense, they're opportunistic, and Lawrence will give them opportunities. And we've seen that out of him. But I do think Jacksonville offense shows up, and I think the Dolphins offense will be better without question. And that's not groundbreaking news than they have been with Brissett. But as far as particular people, like, for instance, my boy, nobody loves him more than I do, Mike Gesicki. I'm playing him in one league, but I have rough nights of sleep this week because I know how it goes with Tua. And we're back to the boom or bust Mike Gesicki. He's had 3 good games in a row, all of them with Brissett. Rob called it. Brissett likes his tight ends, and came through. But if you've been riding this Gesicki wave, you could be disappointed. I know it's a weak-ish, at least, Jacksonville defense. But Miami's got other weapons. The Gaskin thing that happened last week, you could see a little bit more because I don't think Parker's playing. Am I correct that he's still out? Yeah,
Yes.
but yeah, Preston's there, Waddle's there. Waddle had his best games with Tua. So we'll see Waddle bounce back. So he's a fine flex player, wide receiver 3, due to bye weeks and injuries. But I'm not a big Gaskin guy, but you could see him catching passes again because they're short one wide receiver. And they got rid of Jakeem Grant. So kind of 2. And as far as Jacksonville goes, they'd be smart to run James Robinson. You use him in this game. We had the question about Agnew. On Tuesday, one of the YouTubers popped in and was like, listen, I'm going to go with the Jacksonville defense, which is kind of ridiculous, but going against Miami at their second home, London, the London Jags, I could see Tua making a few mistakes or somebody else making a few mistakes. Maybe they return something because they have Agnew. He said, I'm going to do the Jacksonville defense. I'm going to pick up Agnew. I'm going to put him in my flex. I get return yards for the defense and for players. I'm going to try and double down. Agnew caught a bunch of balls last week. I think Marvin Jones will bounce back in this one from his game last week as well. I think the big play in this one, the big super trending up, a guy that we liked in the preseason for the Panthers, Dan Arnold. First game, a couple days after being traded, right away, they're throwing the ball to him. Caught a couple balls, then they took him out, probably brought him out, talked about the playbook. Hey, watch the game. Watch what we're doing. You did good while you were in there. We got your feet wet. Next week, they give him 8 targets, and he does really well. I think that continues. I mean, rookie quarterbacks, tight ends, peanut butter jelly. So Dan Arnold, I think, is a great play. People had a question about Dan Arnold, Ricky Seals-Jones earlier in the week. I know a lot of people are really high on Ricky Seals-Jones. I saw one, analyst or whatever, putting him in the top 5 this week. We'll see. I'm not feeling it, but I would rather use Dan Arnold. But this one should be a good game, a nice game to wake up to. I think last week with the Jets, we got a little frustrated with offense. I just texted Rob, I was like, why don't they check down to Michael Carter? And then they finally started to check down. It's like, you see how that works? So this one, I think we'll have a little more offense. Hopefully. A nice cup of tea with our brisket.
So
biscuit,
you would start
not brisket. You don't eat brisket in the
I
morning.
would love brisket in the morning with some egg. Oh, sorry.
Side note.
Steiner's drives and dives.
Side note, before you get into, have you had the brisket at Chipotle?
No, I have not.
Ooh, it's pretty good. Spicy.
I'm actually going to write that down as well.
Write that one down. Everybody write that one down.
Chipotle.
Try the brisket. Get the brisket. I like to get my burrito. I like to get the bowl. And then I get a bag of the tortilla chips and I eat it like nachos. Use a fork to scoop it on the chip and I eat it. Because they don't serve nachos. Like, what type of Southwestern Mexican place doesn't have nachos? Like, come on, Moe's has nachos. What's up with
Ever
that?
since you introduced me to Moe's, their nachos and cheese is probably the best thing ever.
So good.
All right, let's jump into the next game here. Los Angeles Chargers again. Damn, I don't know what is up with this. I cannot type that.
You know why? Because you're a little from the city. You're a little from the city.
Exactly. Those Chargers and the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, we don't have to talk about Lamar. I mean, obviously he's a must start, but in that offense for the Ravens, you're getting Bateman back and Sammy Watkins is out. How does that change the dynamic of what wide receivers look like? Now you got Bateman, who's the big target that they've been looking for on the outside. Sammy Watkins was an okay fill-in. You have Hollywood Brown, who's playing really, really well lately. Andrews, who's his go-to guy for third down. Are we going to see Lamar take a step back maybe this game for some rushing yards and having all those guys eat against the Los Angeles Chargers defense that isn't half bad, to be honest with you? On the flip side, three main guys. Mike Williams is questionable. They're hopeful that he's going to play. This is the time of the year where we start seeing that Mike Williams injury kind of coming up. Anybody else we should be paying attention to? Do we start the tight ends in this situation if Mike Williams is out?
Yeah, the Chargers. Leah. Yeah, perfect. You even realized it before I even could say so. We can answer your question about Mike Williams. I'm starting Mike Williams in the one league that I own him in. Last week, heading into, he didn't practice at least 2 of the days. I believe he was limited on Friday, came in, blew up. This week started, didn't practice Wednesday, Thursday. I was like, oh, maintenance, didn't practice Friday. I think that this is such a big game that they were easing the practice. I mean, let's be honest here. Allen Iverson, I mean, he hit the nail on the head, right? These guys are pros. They're at the top of their game. You can practice mentally, the playbook and things like that. I mean, getting on the field and getting all the extras in, it doesn't hurt, but it could. Because we've seen players get hurt at practice. I'm starting him unless I hear something in the morning. If he winds up being a true game time decision, or they're like he's going to be on a pitch count, stuff like that, then I'm going to start to consider benching for someone else. But if I don't have a better option, Leah and anybody out there, talking to myself as well, I'm playing Mike Williams. This game is going to be like the Chargers game last week, like the Ravens game last week. It's going to be high scoring. It's pretty much the 2 best teams, aside from maybe Buffalo, in the AFC at this point. The best records, I believe. Eckler, we don't need to talk about them. Allen, regardless of Williams, healthy, not healthy, smoke, mirrors, whatever it is, Keenan Allen's going to have a bounce back sooner or later. And in a game where they have to keep moving the chains to keep Lamar off the field, I could see Keenan Allen having a big game in this one. Mike Williams has come up huge because he plays that X receiver position, which we talked about early in the season, first week, if not preseason, that in the offensive coordinator, the new offensive coordinator, in his system, that X wide receiver is the one. It's the dude that gets the most targets. He's more of the deep down guy. They don't play him too much over the middle. He's not too much of a possession guy. He gets a lot of targets, gets a lot of receptions, but that guy is Keenan Allen, and he's been a little bit disappointing. And I could see him catching at least 8 balls in this game. And you can write that one down, Rob. 8 receptions for Keenan Allen. He'll get a touchdown. Parham's going to get his touchdown 3 weeks in a row. They'll use Cook some, Eckler. I would love for them to use Roundtree a little bit more than the other dudes, but they won't. They'll cycle them all in. As far as the Ravens go, I still think Tyson is going to be the one. I think that this guy he's not high caliber, but he's the best that they have. He's better than Murray. He's better than Freeman. Freeman looked explosive on a couple plays. And, proof is in the pudding with Le'Veon Bell. We told you, forget about that. It's like they gave him like one game, a couple snaps. Like, yeah, this dude, he don't have it anymore. I think Tyson, they're going to just continue to bring him along, and he's just continuing to get more acclimated. He's dropped. He's sitting on the wire. He's somebody that, in deep leagues especially, should not be out there. He's somebody that should be stashed away because when we get deeper into the season, the weather gets colder and things get a little bit tougher, he's going to be useful. I just see it happening. You talked about Bateman. They said they're going to ease him in, obviously. But he's also a possession type guy where Hollywood clearly is not. And they need that possession type guy because, it took this long with Sammy Watkins is finally banged up, right? So they need that. So they'll use him. I would imagine that if you're in a league that awards for first downs, like a few of the leagues that I'm in, you get a half point if you get a first down reception. Bateman could be beneficial in that type of league because I feel like the plays that they'll use him on will probably be around the third downs more. I mean, that would be an interesting thing if there's any statisticians that have nothing better to do in their life. You want to check how many third downs versus first and second downs that Bateman's on the field. I'm going to imagine if they do use him sparingly, he's on the field for third down more often. So we'll see. But I wouldn't use him this week. I'm not using him this week. I want to see it. If this is the ease-in game, let's see what that means. And then, you go ahead and use them from here on out with other buys and injuries that are popping off.
Yeah, man. Health is starting to be the factor. Not only bye weeks, but health is definitely becoming more of a factor nowadays.
And Lamar is the MVP so far.
I agree, man. I think I sent you the stat. I said it on Tuesday. There was something that had come out about Lamar. He, in total yards, has more yards than 15 other teams. Like, think about that. Him himself. Again, just mind-blowing stats, man.
Yeah. So, real quick, just point it out, and then we can move on because we're trying not to take too long. But you know me, I'm long-winded. They'd be 1-4 if it wasn't for Lamar. I think at 100%. This point. Oh, so yeah. That's the definition of an MVP for me. Somebody that makes their team better, and they can't win without him.
All right, next game here: Minnesota Vikings at the Carolina Panthers. Minnesota in a close one last week again. I mean, obviously won in the last second field goal against the Lions. Heartbreaking for the Lions. I don't know, this Minnesota team, they're getting Dalvin Cook back. Does that mean that this offense can actually move the ball the way Madison was, as you said, 80%, more like 100% of Cook? Does that different dynamic that Cook has open it up a little bit more? I don't know. And I'm asking you, are we comfortable? Obviously, you're starting Cook, you're starting Justin Jefferson, but Thielen has kind of been that odd man out. Conklin didn't look that great last week either. Should we be concerned there? On the flip side, big news, obviously, CMC onto IR. A lot of people actually dropped Chuba this week because of the news that CMC was coming back. How does this offense go now? We're at a point right now where without CMC, we saw what the offense was. DJ Moore, is he the only viable start? Or do we see them bouncing back against this Vikings team who's kind of been mediocre?
Yeah, I think even though there's a ton of injuries and there's some buys, I think that we learned last week that even though you might miss the blow up, we can't play Robbie Anderson. We can't. Unless you're in a 14-team league and he is your fourth wide receiver and your third is on a bye, or fifth wide receiver and your second and third are on a bye, or something like that. I mean, you put him in, you hope and you pray, or you scour the wire. But the blow up game could happen this week. But I said last week, I'm no longer going to recommend that you would play somebody that I didn't like going into the season. I'm not. I would bench Robbie Anderson. Could he score his long touchdown on this one? Sure. But I think Darnold is coming a little bit back down to earth, and I don't know if that has anything to do with McCaffrey not being there, but it kind of seems that way a little bit. You remember the game that McCaffrey got hurt? Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm getting old. But that was a tight one, and it wasn't supposed to be. Was that against the Jags?
That sounds right.
I feel like it was a tight game, and it wasn't supposed to be. It's like, I feel like the beginning of the season when Darnold was real hot had a lot to do with CMC being there. But Chuba, I mean, if you got him, again, I don't want to beat this horse all night. So just as a preface, if we're talking about somebody, it's that time of the year. This is what we do. There's bye weeks. There's injuries. You got Chuba, you put him in. He's the starter. Royce Freeman, I would have to be pretty desperate. We see Chuba pretty much take it by the reins. But yeah, it's DJ Moore. Nobody else I really feel too comfortable with. You're probably not strapped so much that you have to use Tommy Tremble, even though he did score a touchdown. And I could see him start to become more involved. I thought it would be 2 weeks ago, but it was last week. For the Vikings, Cook. I mean, it's a sad story, but it's what we dictated. If you own Madison, he's worthless. I don't know why the Vikings don't use both of them when they're both healthy. It's like when Cook plays, they don't even bother using Madison. Don't understand it. If they were smart, which a lot of things that I point out in this way, NFL coaches, for whatever reason, are not, which makes no sense because I'm not as smart as them, or else I'd have that job. You would use them both, right? You would keep Cook a little fresh and use Madison. But it's like whenever Cook's fresh, Madison gets no burn. There's very, very little. Like I would be doing a 50-50 split with these two because they're the same beast, which leads me to think it's not even them. It's the run scheme. It's the team. Like the only reason that that's not the truth is if they're both hurt and they put what's his face in there, who's the guy, Amir Abdullah or CJ Ham, and they stink. But there was a time last year, didn't CJ Ham blow up and have a really good game? So it's like
he had 2 touchdowns or something like that in a game.
So it's like we love Dalvin Cook, he's so great. It's like, oh, Madison comes in and he does even better to a degree. So are either one really that great, or is it the system? And it stinks to be a Madison owner with Cook there because you're not going to get much burn. He's going to sit on your bench. The Vikings are smart. They'll use them both. They'll 50-50 split. And if they do that, that's going to hurt the Cook owner more than anyone because Madison's a wild card for whoever owns him. He's a safety net. So I worry that some brains come into play here. Jefferson, you play him. KJ Osborne did nothing the past couple weeks. They haven't really had to use him. Last week was clock killing mode, which is why we had such a huge game out of Madison as well. So I think KJ Osborne will be a little bit more involved in this one as well because those Carolina corners are pretty solid and he's playing the slot, right? We'll see CJ Henderson probably in this game, the trade that they got for Dan Arnold. So I would imagine DJ Moore, you're going to play him. Robbie Anderson, you can't. Jefferson, you're going to play him. I just had a brain fart. It was Chipotle coming out my ears. Adam Thielen, I would say you can't. Unless you have to. I would not play Adam Thielen this one. The downtrend's been going on for weeks now. But I will bring those guys into it. DJ Moore, you play him. Robbie Anderson, you can't. Not playing Terrence Marshall yet. Jefferson, you play him. Adam Thielen, I wouldn't. KJ Osborne, sneaky flex play this week, I think. I think he's got to bounce back. Had a couple down weeks. Haven't really needed him. He's going to come in.
I like it. Yeah, I have a Thielen owner in our Dynasty League, and it's just, I'm thinking about playing Tony over him, to be honest with you. I mean, I know we'll go into that game and stuff like that, but I can't deal with 6 points a week or, I mean, he had the first couple of weeks, we knew it was going to happen. It's been just downhill since then.
Yeah.
All right, your Green Bay Packers at the Chicago Bears. Green Bay is just Adams. Adams, Jones. I got to start Dylan. I lost Chubb. How do we feel about Dylan against the Chicago Bears defense, who's, again, on script, they look good, but they play okay. Green Bay, I think, will be able to move the ball. On the flip side, Justin Fields, obviously, is your starter now. Herbert is now your starter, I guess. How do we feel about that? And are we throwing him in the lineup? A-Rob, is he now a bench guy and kind of wait and see? And let's talk about Mooney as well.
Yeah, listen, Dylan is doing what we thought he would do from the jump, but it took him 2 or 3 weeks. He's Jamal Williams, and then some, right? So he's a fine play if you're in a position like Rob. Why not? He's getting you double-digit points pretty much in most leagues for the past couple of weeks. Once they finally started to use him, put him in. Because this game's going to go one or two ways. Green Bay's either going to smoke them, and they can ice it with Dylan instead of putting Jones in harm's way. Or it's going to be tight, and they're going to need to swap in and out the 2 running backs. So I think Dylan is a fine play in this one. You talked about Adams. I'm not using Cobb at this point. Cobb typically has some success against the Bears. Long career playing against them twice a season. You can't use anybody else. Not until MVS comes back, at least. Tanyan, sit him down. Been telling you that since the jump. Herbert, we had some great props. Great props given out. Allen and I forget the other one.
Marty.
Randy? It was Marty Peterson, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so thanks for that. Yeah, we told you 2 weeks ago when Monty went down, we said, everybody's going to be chasing after Damian Williams. Go ahead and get yourself a Khalil Herbert. And look, he was very successful last week, and now he's the one. If you have Khalil Herbert, you put him in your lineup this week. You find a way. I am playing Khalil Herbert over Damian Harris. And you might say, well, that's easy. Harris is kind of banged up. I would do it anyways, going against Dallas. I would do it anyways. That's the type of level I'm at, and maybe even a little above. You definitely have to put them in. They're going to try and run the ball. They're going to have to. They got to keep A-Rod off the field. Mooney, if you got to. A-Rod, if you got to. Right? He wasn't somebody I hated in the preseason, so I can still endorse him. It's going to happen sooner or later because his head coach has to get his head out of his butt. And last week was a little different, right? We said we were going to quit. We had to come back because we couldn't quit on all of you. We said we would quit if A-Rob didn't have a game, but they kind of took the air out of the ball. They ransacked that game from the beginning to the end. There was no need to really pass. They're going to need to pass this week. Last week, they didn't have to. So you say, well, God, you said A-Rod was going to go off last week. Well, they pretty much led the entire way and just did what they had to do. I don't think it's going to be that way. Volume is what you want. Volume. I have no problem playing A-Rod this week if I have to, without a doubt. And I'd still try and trade for him, even though it's too late at this point, more than likely, unless you have instant trades. I'm in one league that does instant trades, and once the Thursday game kicks off, you can't trade anybody.
Oh,
So
really?
stupid.
That
So
is.
stupid.
So you have 3 days to trade then?
Pretty much. Yeah. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday,
Tuesday.
and then all day Thursday.
Okay.
Well, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah.
Yeah, because you can't even do it on Monday. Interesting.
Garbage.
All right, let's go into the next one here. Cincinnati Bengals at the Detroit Lions. Cincinnati is that game last week against Green Bay. Nobody wanted to win it, it seemed like. The kickers were just crazy off. It was a cool game, though. I mean, it definitely got me a lot of more points than I thought. I'm going all in on Cincinnati against this team, going against you. Burrow, Chase, and Cincinnati defense I'm going with. But Detroit Lions haven't looked that bad. I mean, they've been in the games. They've been keeping guys down. I mean, their scores are low when they're playing. Should we be concerned, first of all, with Burrow, and how does that affect the wide receivers? I mean, he's not on the final injury report, but did seem to get banged up last week. And is Cincinnati a good defensive call? On the flip side, another person I'm thinking about starting over Thielen is St. Brown. He's a wide receiver 1 now. Let's talk about him, as well as Swift's getting the majority of the share. Jamal Williams still banged up a little bit, but both of them are questionable. Do we feel comfortable starting them against the Cincinnati Bengals?
I'm going to give everybody 10 seconds. And in that 10 seconds, I see some people are here and you're active. Thank you for being here and supporting us. 10 seconds, 1 word, 2 words, quick sentence. Look at this game on paper, Cincinnati Bengals at Detroit Lions, and you tell me how this game is going to play out. Like, what instant thought comes to your head when you see the Cincinnati Bengals are playing the Detroit Lions? What will the outcome be? You tell me. 10 seconds. I'll watch the clock. Somebody please help me out here. Anybody. Nobody loves me.
It takes a few seconds. Remember, we're on a little bit of a delay. Or they're on a little bit of delay compared to where we're at.
I'll give you 5 more seconds. I see Jeremy wrote something.
A lot of passing.
All right. Let's get on with it.
Big.
So I see big. My thought, my assumption, my guess, yeah, big numbers. But for who? Cincy. Darko's 10-point win. Mixon gets unleashed. For the Bengals. Big numbers for the Bengals. See? And guess what we all are? Joe Public. We're Joe Public. We have it ingrained in our minds that the Detroit Lions are terrible, and they very well could be. But Las Vegas thinks that they're only a 3-point dog. If I were to ask you, how much points do you think the Bengals are favored by? Just looking at the names on paper, the common public Joe that walks into a sports book and says, the Bengals are playing the Lions? I got to put $1,000 on the Bengals. Screw it. I'm going to put my whole house on it. Not so fast. I got a feeling here. Detroit's lost 2 tough ones in a row. 2 heartbreakers in a row. Their coach was crying at the podium. They probably practiced harder this week than they've practiced in their entire lives. And they probably want this win more than I think they've ever wanted to win before. Now, the Bengals are no slouch. Darko, I'm not going there. They're a solid team. They should have beat Green Bay. I thought they were going to. Firepower. Out the wazoo. Everybody wants them to explode. Rob, you and I co-manage a team. We put Joe Burrow in over Kyler, which I'm going to fight you on that because now I'm changing my mind. I think the Bengals will put up decent points. I think your wide receivers will be fine. I got a feeling Jamar Chase's touchdown streak ends. Tyler Boyd will be a little more involved, but I think the Lions get some pressure on Burrow. I think the Lions sneak out a win in this game. The Lions have held the last 2 teams they played, I think maybe in the last 3, 20 points or less. Go back and look at their game log. The teams that they've played against have done that with. The Ravens being one of them. They should have beaten the Ravens. 4th and 19, and then the 67-yarder. Heartbreakers. And then it happened last week again, Minnesota, right? So I have a feeling that, and I could be way off. I could be way off. I've been way off. But sometimes I'm not. And I got a feeling that the Lions keep this one close and might even sneak this out. Now, listen, if the Bengals offense blows up, if what I'm saying is true, the Lions offense has to blow up. I don't see that happening. I don't see what Lion you could play with confidence aside from Sponge for Hands or Swift. But somehow, some way, and I'm not telling you don't bench your Bengals either. Put them in the game. I just feel like Detroit's going to win this game. I see it happening. I feel like the line is way too low. Should not be 3 points, 3.5 even. This line should be like 6 points. I don't. It seems like the Lions are going to win this one. The Lions have Hawkinson, Sponge for Hands, and he's been down. And you got to ride the ebbs and flows. So Hawkinson should have a big game this week. I play Hawkinson. I play Swift. I play my Bengals. But I think the Lions win this. I don't know. I don't think the Bengals are going to struggle. But I think somehow, some way, the Lions are going to pull this out. They're going to play with everything they have this week. Home game, 2 heartbreakers in a row, 3 really close ones. Cephas injured. He's out.
Yeah, Cephas is out for a little bit.
I would not play Amon-Ra St. Brown, but he could be valuable for sure, Rob. So
yeah, I'm kind of close, man. It's between him. I already have Mooney in, so the carousel that I would have would be between 2 open spots: Thielen, Mooney, Tony, and St. Brown. I'm gonna have to figure that out.
I just want to point out one comment. Leah types in Hawkinson hasn't produced. That's why you want to play him. That's why. See,
that's close.
Too many fantasy managers chase last week or the last 2, and we say, "Oh, this guy sucks. He's doing nothing." And then he blows up, and they're like, "Oh, I got to get him in my lineup. And then he sucks the next week. It happens far too often. You want to be ahead of that. But the idea is, if you take that leap of faith and it doesn't happen, your rest of your team should be strong enough that it doesn't kill you. And I think that taking a leap of faith, if you own Hawkinson and you're even considering benching him because he hasn't produced, is not a big leap at all. It's more like a step of faith, because it's not going to last. It's not going to last. He's going to have a big game, and then you're going to go ahead and put him in your lineup, and then guess what? He's going to come right back down. And you're like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Right? If you wait until it happens, you're late. You missed it. It's done. The opportunity is gone. It's like saying, man, I really want to bet this team. I really want to bet this. I mean, I feel like they're going to finally show up, and they do, and you didn't bet it, and then the next week you're like, all right, I'm taking them this week. And you lost. You lost. Because the line's already adjusted. Everything's already adjusted. The teams have already adjusted. You want to be ahead of it. And that's why everybody's here, right? We get you the inside scoop from outside the box. We try to think what others aren't thinking. We try to be ahead. Always a step ahead. Hashtag my brother. Right? That's it. All right. So that's my bold prediction of the week. The line and the way that the Lions game happened and what the Bengals game took out of them, traveling, I just feel like the Lions are going to pull this one out, and it's going to be a heartbreaker for the Bengals fans. Sorry, Darko, but we'll see. I could be wrong.
I think you're pulling a, what do you call them, La Reverse on me early on this one, I'm playing literally 4 people in that game out of 9, and I already had Godwin go. So we'll see what happens.
No, the Larry verse would be to say Joe Burrow is going to throw 6 touchdowns because the Lions defense is terrible. He's going to throw all over them. And that's what most people think is going to happen. That's what last week and the prior weeks and the prior years say is going to happen. So why is the line 3 points? It's the Lions. It makes no sense. Vegas knows something.
Darko said he's going to be crying again. Guys, just a reminder, we're going to go over comments and questions after we're done going through the games here. All right, let's go on to the next one here. Houston Texans at Indianapolis Colts. Mills didn't look bad last game. He threw it to Moore a lot. But you already had said Cooks was out of it because of who they were playing.
Mm-hmm.
Are we comfortable playing a Cooks? And I see Moore being picked up all over the place. Is he a start? Nico Collins getting healthier. Is he somebody who could be sneaky as well? Rookie to rookie connection. On the flip side, everybody started Indianapolis defense. I think I've seen Indianapolis defense in every single starting lineup. Obviously, can you play Wentz if you're in a quarterback position where you had a Winston, or I hope you didn't have Zach Wilson, but anybody, it's something, even a 2 QB league. Are we comfortable starting Wentz, and who's he throwing the ball to? Also, T.Y. Hilton's getting kind of close. Is it sit down, old man, or is that somebody that we're looking to possibly add?
Yeah, I think this game you have the Colts trending in the right direction and at home, and after a game last week that they should have won. That lateral call killed them. They should have won. The game never should have been even where it was, because they should have been up 7 points more, at least 6. So I think they know that, and they know they're trending upward. And I think that the Colts, I know the Texans typically play the Colts tough, but I think their defense is trending in the right direction. They looked great last week until they just got a little winded at the end. And you would be too. The world-class gold medal winner from this past Olympics would be a little winded, chasing around Lamar, running like a madman for a quarter and a half last week. So, I mean, that's what it came down to. The Texans are not that. Mills looked good last week. I think he caught Bill Belichick by surprise. I think they had somehow their coaches came up with a great game plan, and they called up Chris Moore, and he balled out, and they were like, well, we know they're going to take out Brandon Cooks. We need somebody who can catch the ball. And Chris Conley came through. But I think this week the Colts are just trending in the right direction. Their defense, they're at home. They need a win. They get one, I think, in convincing fashion in this game. The Texans is David Johnson. Called it last week. I've been saying it for a few weeks. They finally listened. The coaches did smarten up last week. How about that? They used David Johnson early and often, and it paid off. I told you all, David Johnson is the one you want because he's going to catch a ton of balls because they're going to be behind in a ton of games. They were actually ahead and using David Johnson to help them get there. So I think David Johnson, a fine play. I got no problem playing Cooks because I do think that they're going to be playing catch-up. I'm not sure if I would play Chris Moore. He never really got a chance for Baltimore. But he did look good. Maybe somebody you pick up and you stash and you wait, see how he plays in this one. But for the Colts, you got to play Taylor. You got to play Pittman. I'm not playing T.Y. Hill, and he is the original. He's the OG sit-down old man. He could ball out in this one. But no, not. There's no reason. Not first game back. Absolutely not. Especially when I think that they're going to be winning. There's no need to take their TYT today. Tomorrow, TYT, like TEAT.
Oh.
Drink the TYT. Yeah.
Cheers.
Pascal had a bunch of chances last week. Wentz didn't really hit him. Your question was about Wentz. You know, if you're a Russell Wilson owner and you don't have a better option, okay. But I feel like they'll be able to run quite a bit, especially late. So I don't know if Wentz is going to get it done for it. But Mo Alley Cox is coming through. And Kylan Granson was playing last week for the first time that I saw. So Moily Cox is somebody I'd play this week because he does this. He does this every year. He has like 2 or 3 big games in a row and they'll disappear. Maybe he'll keep it going. He's only on game 3. This is game 3 of his 3-game stretch. So Moily Cox is a fine tight end play. I think the Colts rout them in this one. I think that they watched the tape from last week for what Belichick didn't have Mills on tape doing this. Well, the Colts do. The Colts are trending in the right direction. They're going to blow them out. You want your Colts studs and Cooks and David Johnson because they're the PPR studs for the Texans.
I was talking to my buddy Mike, and he's in between right now starting Wentz or Darnold. Which one would you go with?
That's tough because I do feel like Sam is trending downward. But against the Vikings, that could be back and forth. Probably go Sam Darnold.
They said the same. All right, next game here. Los Angeles Rams at the New York Giants. This Rams team obviously looks okay. I mean, they're one of the better teams in the league. They're going against this Giants team. Bobby Tree stepped up last week. Henderson's healthy, it seems like, or at least he's healthy this week. Obviously, he's a star. Is there anybody we kind of like? Sony's kind of iffy kind of thing. Are we okay with flexing him? Is it a Bobby Trees and only Cup, or can we start a Van Jefferson against this Giants defense that hasn't been the worst, but they haven't been playing great either? On the flip side, Daniel Jones looks like he is playing. Slayton's questionable, but should be playing. Shepard's questionable, but should be playing. Or I'm sorry, Shepard should be back. Tony had the explosion, but he's banged up too. But he should be playing. Does Tony keep on exploding, or with these guys coming back, should we temper our expectations? Last thing, Booker has been picked up everywhere. If you picked up Booker, you have to start him?
First off, just so everybody knows, I don't want to say it enough. I don't want you to think we're ignoring you. We're going to fly through the games as best as we can, and we're going to answer every single one and address every single one of your comments and put every single one on the screen. We're not ignoring you. We just want to get through this, and then we'll get to you and give you our full attention. The Rams, all 3 wide receivers are startable this week. Tyler Higbee startable this week. I've seen a lot of people are absolutely in love with Darrell Henderson this week. I did not like him in the preseason because of his injury and the fact that I don't think that McVay really likes him, which seems to be true because they traded for Michelle. And Akers was going to be the starter anyways, but Henderson and Michelle, I think, will continue to split. I don't think we're going to see Funk unless this game gets really out of hand, but you're not playing them this week anyways. But I'm playing all 4 of the wide receivers. If you have Michelle and you got to use them, I'm fine with it. If you got Henderson, you got to use them, I'm fine with it because they'll be used against the Giants team. Giants defense is not terrible, but they're missing their very best player, and Galladay is out, correct? So Ingram's back. We'll see if he gets through a whole game. Always nervous about using him in the tight end. I'd rather use Dan Arnold than Evan Ingram if I could. They're probably on the same level. I'd rather use Moelle Cox, even in a game where they might not have to throw the ball too much, just because I'm scared to poop about Evan Ingram not getting through a game. I've seen it happen way too much. I've had him where I was like, all I need is 3.5 points. All I need is 3.5 points. He gets 1 catch for like 9 yards and he's hurt in the first quarter. I'm like, well, that sucks. And ever since that point, I'm just like, I can't trust him to stay healthy. He's Sammy Watkins of tight ends. Booker, I'm not feeling it. Going against the Rams defense, I'm not feeling it. I don't think they're not going to be running the ball. If Daniel Jones checks down to him, maybe you get lucky, but check downs are like a thing of the past in the NFL for some reason. Nobody checks down anymore, so you can't even rely on that. And the Tony and Shepard question, I do see it there, Alan, but it's a question not only that you're asking, so I'm not skipping the line here, everybody. Don't be mad at me. I would rather play Shepard in this game. And now you say, well, you're so worried about Evan Ingram always getting hurt. Shepard always gets hurt too. You're right. But I would rather play Shepard in this one because I think that what's going to happen is Shepard's going to be on the outside. Tony's going to go into the slot. He goes into the slot. Jalen Ramsey shadows him. Tony's not going to sneak up on the Rams defense like he snuck up last week. If he goes into that slot, it's Jalen Ramsey. That's his wheelhouse. Jalen Ramsey doesn't want to be on the outside covering people. He'll stay right inside, and he'll stay right on the slot, which I think will be Tony. And I think Shepard will go to the outside. He's the possession guy. He's still Daniel Jones' favorite. Remember, Tony blew up because Shepard wasn't there. Well, a lot of people weren't there. Love Tony. We talked about Tony 2 or 3 weeks ago. We said, grab Tony. We grabbed Tony. Tony. Shepard is who I'd rather play in this game. He's a possession guy. He won't have to face Ramsey as often. Colin Johnson, you're not going to play him. Darius Slayton, you're not going to play him, so don't even worry about it. I think the Rams win this one pretty easily. I can't believe they're letting Daniel Jones play. I was listening to the radio, and they were sort of talking about what the NFL, what their concussion test is. It's essentially like a recall type of test. So, and it's all baseline. They don't adjust it. It's not on a curve. It's not like a leveled assessment. So, and this is out of their word. This is words out of their mouth, not mine, but I'm going to paraphrase it. They asked the same questions to Daniel Jones that they asked to somebody else who might not be as intelligent. Daniel Jones was like valedictorian, Ivy League type brain, right? He could have probably, this was what they said, he could have probably answered those questions on the field when he was unable to stand. So that's how they check and see if somebody's okay to come back from a concussion. I mean, his concussion looked pretty bad. For him to come back this week, that's pretty rough. So they're like, well, they probably asked him a question that he probably knows, like his address. Oh, but they'll ask the same question to somebody else, and it might be like a trigonometry test. They couldn't answer it if they didn't have a concussion because they didn't have that level of intelligence. So that's how he's cleared to play. So it's a little risky. We might end up seeing Mike Glennon at some point. And if that happens, it's just volume is all you're hoping for. Rams score quick. Giants pass as much as possible. That's why I don't like Devontae Booker at all. Not a bad idea, Leah.
All right. Let's go on to the next one here. Kansas City Chiefs at the Washington football team. CEH obviously going down. Darrell Williams being picked up all over the place. McKinnon being picked up all over the place. Who's getting the ball? Which one? Everyone's worried about Hill. He seems to be possibly, he wasn't practicing on Thursday. I'm not sure if he practiced on Friday or not. But if he's banged up, who's the ancillary guy that we should be paying attention to? Is it Hardman? Is it Pringle? Is it somebody else? Also, Kelsey's people are worried. I mean, you can't bench Kelsey. I mean, I've saw people asking that question. He's still one of the best tight ends, but Mahomes isn't the same Mahomes this year, it seems like. And the Kansas City offense isn't the same. Let's talk through the situation, who you think is startable. On the flip side, you know my love with Heineke. I love that guy with all my passion. I think he's fantastic for what he's been doing in a short period of time here. Scary Terry, obviously. Gibson's still banged up a little bit. Anybody else we should be looking at and starting? Curtis Samuel, drop him, guys. I mean, he's at a point where there is no really second receiver on this team besides Ricky Seals-Jones.
Yeah, so as far as Washington goes, they have a terrible secondary. Their secondary has been one of the worst, bottom 5, I'd imagine. Still pretty decent up front, middle of the road. But the big thing going into the season when everybody thought, including myself, that Washington was going to be the best defense was really the rush defense, the guys up front, the front 7, front 4 especially. So I think that the Chiefs will attack through the air. The Chiefs will attack through the air no matter what. They don't even want to be a running team. They never really have wanted to be a running team. The problem is what they've had been forced to do a little bit more is try to do so because teams figured out, like it or not, he was hurt, yes, but they figured out how to get after the Chiefs, how to beat the Chiefs. And I think that is 100% true that we're seeing like this is how you stop Patrick Mahomes. And I think this Washington defense has the ability to do that. So a lot of people coming into this game, watching this game, thinking, the Chiefs are going to smash them. I personally think that they are. I think that Mahomes is going to have a fire lit under him. He's tired of losing. He's tired of getting beat up, pushed around. They need to get towards the top. People are forgetting about them. They're looking at Herbert and the Chargers, Lamar and the Ravens, Allen and the Bills. People are like, Chiefs don't even have a shot. On the road, it's going to be tough. Tyreek Hill, you talked about, a little bit banged up. I could easily see him catching a long touchdown in this one. Somebody asked a question. I don't want to jump the line, but I was going to bring this up anyways. Mecole Hardman, because you asked about him, Rob. I've said it over and over for years. He's Tyreek Hill. That's it. That's why he doesn't have too much value, because he's the same type of player, plays the position the same exact way. Big week last week because Tyreek was a little banged up. So I would play Mecole Hardman because the Washington secondary is not good and Tyreek is a little banged up. Because if it's not Tyreek that beats him deep, it's Mecole Hardman that beats him deep, and there's a chance that they both could. So I think if there ever was a week that I would endorse Mecole Hardman as a start, it's one where we have a ton of injuries, we have bye week starting, and Tyreek Hill's a little banged up in a game that they need to have. So he's a fine start as a wide receiver 3 over flex, especially if your other options are marginal. Now, this game also happens to have my Week 6 guesstimator.
Week 6 guesstimator. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So, if you haven't watched, this is something we came up with. Week 2. This is somebody that is outside the box. Most people don't know because we want you to know about this person. Rob didn't know about this person when I told him who it was. We want you to know about them before everybody else knows about them. Now, there's an extreme bust potential. But the boom could be season winning. Could get you enough wins to get that seeding in the playoffs that you need. Now, I'm going to ask a question. Don't hit any buttons here. I'm going to ask a question. No, it's not Williams, but I'm going to ask you a question about Williams. The question is, when you hear the name Darrell Williams, what do you think, like, from what I like this little game we're playing tonight. I feel like a show host. What do you think about Darrell Williams? Like, when you're like, Darrell Williams, the football player, like, what was he really good at? What was he mostly used for? Can anybody answer that question? What was Darrell Williams mostly used for? Rob, what's he?
I'm just joking. Go ahead. Well, let's see if people comment first, and then I'll give you my answer.
Like, in his entire 4 years with the Chiefs, they really just used him for what? Not pass catching. He can do that, but not really. I'll speed up the process. What he really is, he's a goal line guy. Which is why earlier in the season I was like, you're going to play CEH and Darrell Williams is going to score 2 touchdowns and vote for you. Yeah, goal line work. That's right. So that's what he's really good at. He was okay last week running the ball and catch some passes. And when you think about Jerick McKinnon, and you say, Jerick McKinnon, your entire career was built on what? What are you known for? What are you good at? Anybody? Jerick McKinnon. You hear that name, you're like, oh, I picture it. What does he do? Oh, that's what he does. That's right. Anybody? 5 seconds.
Dude,
Speed.
You sound like such a teacher right now. I absolutely love it.
Speed. catching the passes out of the backfield, third downs, right? So they've got a goal line guy that gets a yard or two real tough. You get the speedy guy out of the backfield, third down when we need to pass and get somebody out there in space. But what do we do what do we do the rest of the time? If we're not at the goal line, we're not in third down, what are we going to do? We need somebody on our team. We need somebody that can do it all. And they have somebody that can do it all who balled out in the preseason. Balled out of control. Dawn, I'm not sure if Dawn's watching. Dawn used to be she was always on here. Dawn did what I said a lot of times, and I would say, go and watch some YouTube videos of Mr. Derek Gore. Derek Gore balled out in the preseason. He can catch the ball. He can run hard. He's fast. He's got muscle. He's got speed. They called him up from the practice squad immediately this week. As soon as they could, called him up. Everybody's running out to grab Darrell Williams. Some people are also scooping Jerick McKinnon. And there's Derek Gore sitting at number 17,462 on the player list. Because nobody knows who the hell he is except you. Derek Gore, if you have an open bench spot, some bum is sitting there that you're not even going to use. Right now, you go on your phone and you scoop up Derek Gore. You put him in there. You don't want to play him this week unless you're absolutely obliterated to death. Like you have Alvin Kamara on a bye. You got Mike Davis for some reason on a bye. You got Nick Chubb hurt. You got Saquon hurt. You're like, what am I going to do? I'm starting Tony Danza at running back. That's when you play Derek Gore this week. But I'm telling you right now, if he gets on the field, he's a better athlete than Darrell Williams. He can run between the 20s, and I think that's where they'll use him. And he's somebody that no one knows about, and he's my week 6 guesstimator, Derek Gore. So I think that the diamond in the rough, once again, is someone that no one is thinking about. No one is looking at all.
I like it. I had to look him up. Like I had no clue. I knew in the preseason, but again, it kind of made me forget. But I watched some YouTube. This kid is good, man. All right, jump into the next one here.
Yeah.
Arizona Cardinals at the Cleveland Browns. Arizona didn't look the greatest against San Francisco, but they won. They had the last-second touchdowns, or not last second, but again, getting to D-Hop in the fourth quarter. COVID is kind of taking over this team. Kyler has a hurt shoulder. D-Hop was cleared, so we're okay there. But should we be concerned going against a Cleveland Browns defense who's pretty good? They tend to keep everybody in check for the most part. You mentioned before, I said starting Burrow over Kyler. We're going to have a conversation about that. Should we be concerned about Kyler and his shoulder and the COVID that is going on? On the flip side, Chubb being out. Hunt is questionable, but seems like he's going to play. A lot of Felton questions came up through our page because we've talked about Felton before. But everybody's picking up Johnson as well, the Ernest Johnson. How can we see this backfield now going? Obviously, you're starting Hunt if he's going, but who's that secondary guy that we should be looking at? And we've talked about the relationship between OBJ and Baker. It's not there. Who are we looking at? Is it Njoku then? Who's the go-to guy? Who's that go-to guy that Baker needs to move the sticks?
As far as Kyler, I'm not worried in the least about the injury or the COVID going around the team, the coaches. If anything, I'm worried mostly about the last 2 weeks haven't looked so good. But what does Answers by Guess always talking about? The ebbs and the flows. That's the way it goes. I'm a poet and I know it to show it.
Oh yeah,
And I just
and
think,
with the guess.
I mean, the Browns defense is great. But last week they weren't that great. Right? 42 points.
47 points they gave up. You're
Yeah,
right.
47 points. And they should bounce back. They'll bounce back, and they're at home. But Kyler is a different beast, and Hopkins is healthier than he's been at least a week or two. Finally practiced in full on Friday. We didn't see that leading into last week, and he did all right. And Rondale was involved, like we said. He was absent for a few weeks. We said he's probably going to resurface. He resurfaced a little bit. AJ Green, who knows? You don't want to play him, but Christian Kirk, same thing. But I'm fine with Hopkins. I'm fine with Kyler. If I don't have a better option, like Joe Burrow is just about as good of an option to even consider. And I know I talked at length, ad nauseum, about how I feel about Detroit winning that game. I just don't know if it's Detroit shutting them down that wins the game or somehow Detroit just showing up ridiculous on offense. So I don't think Burrow's going to have a bad game. I don't think the players are going to have a bad game, but I do kind of feel like Kyler's going to have a better game. So if you're at all worried about him, I don't think you should be too worried about him. When you have a running quarterback that is like Kyler Murray, with the speed and the arm he has, a really good defense doesn't make too much of a difference. Right? You know what I mean?
I understand.
It's a different, if they were playing against, like, I don't know, somebody that's good but kind of just chills. Kyler Murray don't chill. It's like he's on ice skates. As far as the Browns go, no Chubb. We all know that. Kareem Hunt. A lot of people are going to think, well, isn't it going to be Dearness Johnson? He's next on the depth chart. Well, what about your week 3 guesstimator, Demetric Felton? It should be him, right? Not so fast. When Chubb was out last year, what'd they do? They just ran the hell out of Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt went nuts. They didn't do what the Bears do. They didn't do what the Bears did. They didn't do what the Bears thought we would do. Montgomery, Williams. Montgomery's out. Williams moves up. Herbert moves up. The Browns didn't do that last year. So unless they changed their recipe, which it was very successful last year, so it's usually not smart to fix things that aren't broken. I'm not going to go as far to put Felton into my lineup. And nobody loves Felton, I think, at this stage of his career more than I do. I popped him out and made him a week 3 guesstimator. And he should have had a touchdown the first drive of the game, but Baker overthrew him. But with Jarvis Landry coming back, that maybe means that Felton doesn't play that wide receiver one. And you probably do see a little more Felton in the running game, maybe catching some passes as well. But Dearness Johnson's there as well, so maybe see a little bit. But I'm thinking that you're going to see 80% minimum Hunt, and then 20% of the snaps will be those two guys splitting. So I don't think that we can use them this week. Could one of them score a touchdown? Sure. Could both of them? Probably. But volume is what we want. And I think it's all Kareem Hunt. I think they have no problem using him. And I heard this as well. I won't take credit for this. I heard this, and I was like, that makes sense. The Browns play on Thursday next week. I have a feeling that Chubb was healthy enough to play. But they want Chubb for Thursday because I think they play the Ravens. And they said, let's sit Chubb out. We can let Hunt carry the load. Broncos. Let's sit Chubb out. We can let Hunt carry the load, and then we'll have Chubb on Thursday. Because if they play Chubb this game, he re-aggravates, or he only has 3 days to recoup, he's not going to be as effective on Thursday. So if you're a Nick Chubb owner, there's some solace there. Thank God, yes, right? I think he'll be back Thursday. Somebody else said it. I'm not going to take credit for it, but it makes 100% sense. He would have played if they weren't playing Thursday. I believe it. I agree with it. So I think if you're a Hunt or a Chubb owner, I think he'll be back Thursday, so you won't be going crazy. It just makes way too much sense because they know that Hunt can carry the load by himself. He did it all year last year when he had to. And Odell, if you don't have better options, I mean, I'm playing him in one league because I don't really have a better option. But it's like he's not on the same page with Baker. We talked about that last week. Jarvis Landry coming back is going to help their offense. That's about it. I mean, with Landry coming back, I don't want to touch DPJ or Higgins. And the tight ends, the tight end situation is worse than the wide receivers in Tampa. So you don't want to touch that either.
Landry, they're saying, is out this week. He's coming back next week.
Oh, it's next week. Well, now I'm an idiot. So everybody, you can see you later.
No, it looks like it's just been updated recently. They set him back for. I mean, they activated him from injured reserve, but it doesn't look like he'll play this week.
I think they were bringing him back.
The same concept of what you're thinking. Since they have that Thursday night game, they're probably sitting in this one, and the same thing. They'll probably play him on Thursday.
So then you're going to see the same exact offense you saw from him last week. You're going to see the same exact offense. And the Cardinals' defense, I think, is better than the Chargers. I don't care what anybody says. I think that they are. So I think this game could go to maybe the 30s. But I don't think it's going to be as crazy as the Browns-Chargers was. But you're going to see the same offense, which is if Baker and Odell can get on the same page, okay. And I guess then since I'm an idiot and Jarvis Landry's not coming back, then if you really had to, like if you're in a 16-team league, that's the only time you're playing a DPJ. Otherwise, it's Odell or nothing. It's Hunt or nothing. And they're just going to throw the ball around to random people, random times.
I would say if you need a tight end, Njoku would be somebody that I would be looking at. I would take a fly on him this week because, again, I mean, you're not chasing points, but it could be a similar game. Like you said, if it's going into the 30s, they got to throw to somebody. Well,
that's what I just said, though. Like, their situation is worse than the Bucs wide receivers. The moment you put in Njoku, because he had a good week last week, it's Austin Hooper or it's Harrison Bryant. And you're like, why didn't I just play Dan Arnold? Why didn't I just play Mo Alley Cox? That's why I'd rather go with those. Shit. Oh, sorry. I don't even like Ricky Seals-Jones as a play, but I would rather play Ricky Seals-Jones than any Browns wide receiver this week.
Got it. All right. Las Vegas Raiders at the Denver Broncos. Obviously, everything that's happening with the Raiders, with Gruden and stuff like that, we don't know. I don't know how this offense is going to look. Usually when you see firings of coaches, you see things explode the following week. The team's actually pretty good. This is a totally different situation. It wasn't firing. It was resigning and everything that's been happening. So we actually made a trade this week in the ABG League. We got Drake. Talk about how possibly I think you mentioned even on the page that he was in the doghouse. Could this now be a Drake time and kind of taking over this backfield, or Jacobs just has the role? Are we worried about the receivers that are happening over here as far as Waller and Edwards and Renfro and so on and so forth? On the flip side, Judy is getting closer. A lot of Tim Patrick questions, a lot of Sutton questions. Sutton shows up. He doesn't show up. Are we comfortable starting a lot of these Broncos players against the Raiders? Melvin Gordon banged up. Is Williams a good candidate to start over somebody like an A.J. Dillon or something like that if you need to?
Yeah, well, now everybody's probably going to veto our trade. The trade didn't go through. But, it's really – it is on paper, past practice, or past success or whatever, or lack thereof. It's relatively even. But everybody that watches the show knows that I was high on Kenyon Drake coming into the season. I thought that he was going to be a steal. He has not been. But he was in John Gruden's doghouse. He fumbled at the end of week 3 game, and week 4 and 5, he paid the price. Well, John Gruden is in America's doghouse, and he's gone. So we made the trade, and we're like, hey, Kenyon Drake, we need a running back. We liked him at the beginning of the season. We'll get rid of the stud Kadarius Toney if it's going to help our running back depth. We also got Corey Davis, who's on a bye. I think my thought, the way I sold it to Rob, to get him to agree to the trade that was proposed to us, I feel like Drake is going to finally be unleashed, finally be used in the correct capacity because Gruden's gone. No more Chucky face getting mad at him and leaving him on the bench. What better week to do it? Well, we don't get to use him this week against the Broncos because the Broncos have a tough rush defense and they're going to be getting after Carr. And even though nobody in the NFL, for whatever reason, does it anymore, it's a perfect check down situation. That is how you beat tough defenses. Drop back, you look around, and you check it out for your running back. Up, 4 yards. You look around, drop, 5 yards. Look at that, 3rd and 1, right up the middle with Javonte or with Jacobs. And like that's, you just move the ball that way. Brian Edwards is somebody I'm just waiting. Why? Was he a victim of John Gruden? Right? We talked about on Tuesday. How does this affect the team? I said it's either going to go one way or one way or the other. Everybody's either going to be terrible or everybody's going to improve. And it was too soon. And now I'm getting the feeling that these guys that we liked are going to start to flourish because they're going to be unleashed a little because there's a new coach. And it's going to be like, oh, that guy Drake's pretty good. Why didn't we use him? I don't know. John Gruden's a jerk. Hey, that Brian Edwards is pretty good. Why haven't we been throwing the ball to him? I don't know. That John Gruden's a jerk. Well, Brian Edwards is somebody that's probably on your waiver wire. Brian Edwards is somebody you can pick up and be like, oh, let me just stash him here. He's the best wide receiver they have. Yes, he's better than Henry Ruggs. He's more prototypical. He just wasn't getting the targets. So watch out for him, especially in this game, because Denver's going to be making sure that Henry Ruggs doesn't take the top off. Henry Ruggs is not a possession receiver. They were using him like one. Built like a twig. No, wrong move. Goodbye. Darren Waller, you play him. Duh. Josh Jacobs, I'm fine with him this week. Don't like him, but with running back the way it is, do what you must. I'm doing the same. In one league, in the Broncos, Javonte is unleashed. This is the one. This is the week. It's been slowly building. Right? It's like a relationship. Right? We went on a date week 1. All right. I came and brought you lunch to work week 2. Gave you a smile from across the room week 3. You slipped me a note week 4. Week 5, we were on a second date. Here we are. Week 6, we're at home watching a movie on the couch, and everybody knows what happens next. Right? We're ready.
And chill.
We're ready. We're ready. We're ready. Javonte unleashed. It's a perfect situation against the Raiders and their rush defense. Melvin Gordon a little banged up. If you've got Javonte Williams, you put him in. Put him in, press play, sit back, relax, go to bed, wake up in the morning, smile. Like, it's going to happen. Judy mentions coming back. If he's on the waiver wire, you pick him up, you stash him. He'll probably be back next week or two. And Sutton's a great play. You got to play Sutton. You got to play Fant. Patrick, I would imagine he scores another touchdown this week. I'm not a fan of Teddy B, but the Raiders' defense is not good. And I think that the Raiders' offense elevates itself, sans Gruden, and I think that makes the Broncos continue to push. This game is going to be a sneaky, high-scoring game, I think.
I like it. I like it a lot there, sir. Hopefully, they're saying Judy should be back next week. I think you're right. I think that opens that offense up. I think Tim Patrick takes the hit out of everybody, but it's going to be interesting, man. I really want to see what that looks like, that core of receivers. Is Teddy Bridgewater the one that should be throwing the ball is the question, though, too. Dallas Cowboys at New England Patriots. This Cowboys offense destroyed the Giants last week. That mean Dak, in my opinion, is close in that MVP race with Lamar Jackson. I mean, Lamar is just on a totally different level, but Dak should be in that conversation because he's looked fantastic. Zeke has resurrected and has come back and looks like he's fantastic this year as well.
Mhm.
Who are we looking at as far as from a wide receiver standpoint? Are we comfortable starting Cooper and CeeDee Lamb? CeeDee Lamb came back on track a little bit last week. Or does this New England Patriots have a plan to slow down this Cowboys offense? You say that Belichick always has a plan. What's Belichick's plan in order to slow down the Cowboys offense, but a plan for his offense that Houston put up 22 points on them last week, and it was a very close game in which you didn't think it was going to be a close game. Dallas can put up a lot more points than Houston. So let's talk about how their offense and who they're looking to.
I think that their plan is or should be to run the ball. Now, what sucks for their plan is that Harris is a little banged up, but they got Ramondre Stevenson's feet wet last week, and maybe J.J. Taylor comes out of the doghouse. They've got to run the ball. They have to protect the quarterback, the rookie. The Cowboys defense is no slouch. I think that they are the dark horse sleeper defense, along with the Cardinals this year. I think Michael Parsons just makes that much of a difference. Being at home is certainly going to help. Hunter Henry's emergence is helping. They're going to have to use Jonnu in some of those sweeps, get him a little more involved because this Dallas defense is good. They have to move the chains, the Patriots. Deep shots are not going to win it for them. The Cowboys will be able to stop that, and if they miss on enough, the Cowboys offense is going to be tough to stop. Patriots have a solid defense, but they've been shown as early or as close as last week to be susceptible. And so I think that run the ball has to be the strategy. It just stinks that Damian Harris is a little banged up, and the Cowboys' defense is pretty good. But that's what they're going to have to do. They're going to use 3 or 4 running backs. One guy I didn't mention is Brandon Bolden because he's 54 years old, and we have a strictly under 50 list. And we cannot talk about men that are that old because that's not even sit-down old man. That's sit-down grandpa. 54 is not even that old. That's like I'm almost there. No, not yet, but soon. As soon as I turn around, I'll be 54. That's how life goes. Young people, I'm sorry. That's how it happens. But for the Cowboys, you just play them. You play CD. You play Cooper if you got to. You play Zeke. If you must play Pollard, go ahead. If you've been streaming Schultz, he's your guy until Gale comes back. I think that's the only way the Patriots do it. So if you're playing Brandon Bolden, you got to realize you're going to be sharing snaps with 2 to 3 other running backs. And you're going to have some volume because that's the way that they're going to stay in this game. If they fall behind, Bolden, I don't know. I feel like it would be a wasted spot. I would not be playing Brandon Bolden. I would not be rostering him. But I know many of you have, but I would find another better option.
Sorry about that. Got a couple text messages that came through.
Better be.
Seattle Seahawks at the Pittsburgh Steelers, Sunday Night Football. Pittsburgh came back a little bit. They were playing a Broncos team that the defense was supposed to be showing up, and Steelers actually looked okay. Ben Roethlisberger, but Najee's that guy, man. He was a little banged up, though. It seems like he's healthy. Is it just Najee and Deontay we could trust on this team? Anybody else we should be looking at? I know you're big on Freiermuth. Could this be a Freiermuth game against a Seattle defense that's not good? Their secondary is just horrific. On the flip side, Geno Smith is a starter. Should we be concerned for Metcalf? Should we be concerned for Lockett? Let's talk about the run game situation. Carson banged up. Do we see Collins? Carson should play, but again, it just is, does he make it through the game? That's always a question mark. It's always like the same thing that we talk about some other guys. Talk about this.
I'll be quick. You play Najee, you play Deontay, you play Chase Claypool. Freiermuth, if you absolutely must. The Seahawks defense is not good. I have a feeling, Braden, if you're here, kudos to you. I think that the Steelers are going to smash in this one. I think the Steelers desperately need a primetime win to get back on the map. And I feel like this is it. Now, if this was a 1 o'clock game, I would certify 100% guarantee stamp of approval on the Steelers killing them. The only saving grace the Seahawks have, because they have to travel all the way across the country, is that it's the late game. So it's not like they're playing at 9 a.m. or whatever it is, 10 a.m. On the West Coast. So that's a saving grace for them. But Geno looked good for one drive. Then Geno started to look more and more like Geno. Steelers defense is coming on. TJ Watt is back, and they're looking fine, and they're hungry for this one. They want to show the world that they're not dead. It's going to be rough, DK owners. It's going to be rough, Lockett owners. Hopefully you get a deep one. Gerald Everett coming back helps. You got to imagine that Geno's going to look to him. They're going to get him in the game plan to sort of get the ball out quick because the Steelers will be coming after him. And, yeah, Carson's out.
Sorry about that. Yeah, he's on IR. My bad.
And a lot of people like Collins, and I'm not a fan of Collins. He looked I'd rather roster DJ Dallas, but I don't want anything to do with any of them or Travis Homer. I don't want it. I don't want it. Not against this Pittsburgh team. Not in this game. I mean, Geno's old school, so maybe Geno wants to check down. That's your one. I feel like I'm using this 100 times. Saving grace in this one is if Collins gets a bunch of receptions, or DJ Dallas gets a bunch, or Homer gets a bunch with the checkdowns. And that's why I kind of like Gerald Everett if you're desperate in this one, because over the middle, quick, get it out of there. He's probably not your safest, but he probably will be more involved than he has been all season.
Got it. All right, let's go on to Monday Night Football here, and then we're going to go into your questions and comments, guys. Buffalo Bills at Tennessee Titans. Buffalo is just on a totally different level. Allen was jumping over players. I mean, I saw the picture literally everywhere. Manny Sanders is taking over the role of Diggs, it seems like, but people are focused on Diggs. But this Tennessee Titans secondary is, I think you said, the worst in the league, and I think statistically they might be. Is this finally the Diggs game that everyone's been waiting for? And does Sanders take the step back? Starting Knox with confidence. Talk about the run game. Is it still going to be a 50-50 kind of split? On the flip side, Julio comes back this week. Again, sit down, old man kind of conversation. But does this open it up for A.J. Brown? A lot of A.J. Brown concern because he isn't getting the love that everyone's thinking about. Or could this just be a Henry game where they're just going to be balls to the wall and just try to run the ball down Buffalo? But Buffalo's defense is really good. Let's talk about it.
Who remembers in the preseason when I said Stephon Diggs is being drafted way too high? You do not take him there because teams have had an entire season and offseason to figure out ways to take him out. Last year, he took everybody by surprise. That's why he had so many deep shots, so many wide open. And his season was incredible. And it's not to take away from Diggs. It's just nobody saw it coming. And everybody was ready for it this year. So they had to get another option, and it happens to be old man Sanders. Kudos to you if you believe in him. I'm telling you right now, the Titans are going to win this game. And it's going to throw everything off track because this is how the NFL goes. I'm sorry, Chad, I see your comment. But the Titans are going to win. And here's why. They're at home. They're at full strength. Darrington Evans is probably going to play. So not only are they going to have Julio and A.J. Brown and Josh Reynolds as the third, who now has gotten his feet wet as a starter, Darrington Evans is going to be there to catch some balls out of the backfield, to take a little bit of the load off Henry, and they're going to ride Henry as much as they can to keep the Bills' offense off the field. But what you have here is you have the Bills who played in probably the most important game since the fourth Super Bowl that they've lost last week. Now, I realize these guys were babies when they lost that fourth Super Bowl, but you get my point. Last week was a must. Last week was a monkey that they had to punch in the face and get it off their back. The Kansas City Chiefs. They put everything that they had to into that game. Everything. They were so up for that. They played so hard. They played so perfect. They played so well. Kudos. Bills. I'm not taking anything away from them. But doing that 2 weeks in a row, one of them being on the road Monday night, it's going to be tough, and the Titans are going to be ready. And the Titans saw what happened. The Titans are going to be up for this one. I think the Titans win this game. and it's going to surprise a lot of people, and it's going to shake up those power rankings. Do I think that Josh Allen's going to have a bad week? No. Do I think that Diggs is going to have another not so good week? No. Dawson Knox, I think Tennessee will do what they do. I'm playing him in 1 week. I'm contemplating putting Hunter Henry in instead of him. But if you got him, you play him. I don't think the Bills are going to have a bad fantasy week. I'm not saying bench your Bills, but I'm saying I think the Titans win this one. I'm saying play A.J. Brown. If you have to play Julio, go ahead. I don't see a scenario where you'd have to play Josh Reynolds, but I think he's going to be involved. You're not playing Darrington Evans, but 4 weeks ago I told you to pick him up and put him on IR. Just know he's coming back. Watch him. If he does nothing or he stinks, well, now you can cut him and put somebody else in IR. And Derrick Henry, nobody's got to tell you to start him. But I think Tennessee wins this game. I think it's going to be a big letdown for Bills fans who are pumping them up as the best, and nothing against Bills fans. I love you. Screw those tables, right? Who needs them? You sit on the floor and eat. I just think the Titans win this one. And the Bills defense is good, but I'm not shying away from my Titans because they're going to be ready, and it's going to be hard. It's hard for a team to get it as up as they did for the Chiefs game 2 weeks in a row. The second one being on the road Monday Night Football. Titans take it.
All right. So you want to hear something interesting? We've had so many comments that the comments of my questions that I had posted at the top are actually gone.
Oh, no. That happened?
We're at question 25, and I still have to probably post questions 1 through 24.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's
all right.
I've never seen that happen before. But you know what? We're getting a lot of comments, so that's good too.
Thank you for joining us and sticking around. Here come the comments. We're starting at 25. We'll go all the way down.
And then we'll do 1 through 24 afterwards. Charlie A with the question, 12-team PPR, hurting at running back, especially with CMC news and Damian Williams going on to IR. Didn't drop Williams for Herbert. Dumb move. Any other running backs out there I should be targeting?
Charlie, what I want you to do.
These are his current running backs.
Mixon's going to be fine. You play Mixon, and if that's Najee Harris, you play Najee Harris.
I'm going to go with Damian Harris.
If it's Damian and there's nothing out there on the wire, just put him in. I think he's going to play. He'll lose a bunch of snaps, unfortunately. But if there's nothing out there and there's nobody on your team that's really droppable, then there's no sense in dropping somebody. Just put him in. You got a warm body. It's all good. Or what you can do is go to your post. Hopefully you're watching the show and put in your waiver wire, and we can address it sometime tonight or tomorrow before the games.
All right. Chris with the question. Pick one running back and one flex. Darrell Williams, Herbert, Keenan Allen, Robert Woods, and Tony.
I'm going to go Herbert and Allen.
I agree with that.
I think Allen has a nice bounce back.
Scott T with the question, who do you play at flex? Herbert, Harris, Manny Sanders, Marvin Jones Jr., Julio, or Sony?
I'm going with Khalil Herbert unless that's Najee, which I don't know why he'd be in your flex. So Khalil Herbert. I'm doing it. I'm riding the wave this week. You see how nice he looked last week? He's going to be needed.
Matt P with the question, any lineup suggestions? Matt starters are Hurts, Zeke, Hunt, Bobby Trees, Deontay, Kelsey, and Herbert. Bench, Ayuk, Sutton, Boyd, Michael Carter, Madison, Javonte Williams.
If I did anything, it might be Sutton over Woods. But I think you're fine either way.
All right, I'm going to go on to the next one here.
I think Sutton's matchup against the Raiders is just too good.
All right, Dawn with a question. I have to cut bait with one of these players to move Bateman out of IR. Harris, Marvin Jones, Michael Carter, Mooney, Waddle, or Booker. A.J. Brown, Lamb, Devonta Smith, running backs, Eckler, Aaron Jones, not pictured in the picture that she sent. This is a standard league. Any suggestions would be appreciated. My wide receiver are in shambles.
Dawn, once again, I hope you're watching. I hope you hear this. Booker is who you drop. You're not using Booker this week. Barkley's coming back next week, I believe. So you don't need Booker. This week's way too tough for him. He's not going to do good enough that somebody else is going to want him, even if Barkley's not back next week. Dump Booker. Activate Bateman. Bada boom, bada bang. Ain't no thing.
All right, Leah with the question. Gaskin, Murray, or Mike Williams? Pick one for flex.
I'm going to go with Mike Williams. I'm going to go with Mike Williams until I hear that he's not playing.
Darko, I have a feeling Agnew goes off in this one, filling in for Chark. That guy was high on him, too. I mean, it's such a wonderful strategy.
Yeah.
All right. Was Gaskin a fluke?
It's not a fluke. I'm not big on Gaskin, but it wasn't a fluke. It was Parker's out, which he is again, and we've seen big games out of Gaskin early last season. He's capable. It's just if needed, right? And he might be needed. He's fine, but I would rather go Mike Williams over Gaskin this week. If you are worried at all about Mike Williams' injury, then throw Gaskin in. You know, you got to go with your gut, Leah.
Jeremy, you have rough nights sleeping every time playing Gesicki. Believe me, I put myself through it for the last 2 seasons.
He's
You're
my boy.
One, man.
He's my boy. I love him. I love Mike Gesicki.
All right. Leah with another one. I've got 3 options for flex. 4 and 1. Gaskin, Mike Williams, James Conner, or Murray. So
yeah,
James Conner looks like it's added.
Yeah, same thing. Mike Williams is what I would do. But if you're nervous about the injury, then Gaskin. But I there's no way I'm sitting Mike Williams if he's playing.
All right, pick 2 wide receivers: Deontay, A.J. Brown, Woods, Kadarius Toney.
Deontay, A.J. Brown.
Okay. Leah said Deontay and Woods. That's easy. Ooh, you're going different than what Leah's saying. Oh, Keenan Allen could be in that question as well. You were high on Allen.
If you got Keenan Allen or Mike Williams, I would go Keenan Allen because he's healthier at the moment, and I think he has a bounce back. So, that's Chris's question. Oh,
that's what I'm saying. So it's adding to this one here. So Deontay, A.J. Brown, Robert Woods, Kadarius Toney, or Keenan Allen.
I'm still going to go with Deontay and A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown is the Monday Night Magic.
All right. Leah talking about your brisket. Is it expensive? Is it worth it?
I don't think it's much more expensive than like the steak. So, I mean, typically I go with the chicken. I mean, I love the steak, but I switch back and forth. Sometimes I do half and half, but I had to try the brisket, and it was pretty bomb. And hot salsa and sour cream mixed. Yes. Talk to me, girl.
All right, Chris, brisket is 100. I got to try this brisket. It's actually it's note number 2 on my list
Rob,
here.
Listen, take a Gaviscon or whatever it is that you take beforehand. It's got some spice to it. I love spice, but it'll hit you. So you got to drink some carbonated drink and take a little Gaviscon beforehand. You'll be good.
Oh, yes.
Old man problem.
Dude, as I get older, even coffee, I mean, anything that has some type of, terrible. It just sits right here. Pepsi AC has become my best friend.
Sometimes I need it when I drink water.
Okay, do I start injured? wait. What did you just say? Wait, you drink water? Do I start injured Mike Williams?
Yeah. I'm not worried about it. I think this is the same thing. I think she thought we were ignoring her. That's why I was like, we're not ignoring you.
We're not ignoring anybody. Yeah, we usually go through the games first now and then questions. She's got Lamar and Mark Andrews. That's awesome. If you were me, Williams over Gaskin, you said yes already. I won by 100 points last week, but I'm not worried, but still. Me too. That combo single-handedly won me my game last week. Rest of my team stunk for the most part. All right, pick 3, DK, Pittman, Boy, Hollywood Brown, Shepard, and Mooney.
You know what? Like, it's so hard to bench DK. Even with Geno Smith, I feel like they'll need him. I would not mind Pittman, Shepard, Mooney. But since it's so hard to sit DK, if you want to do DK and then pick two of those, I'm playing Shepard if he's back. Just feel like Deion Jones is going to continue to look to him as long as he's healthy. And then I go Mooney. I love Pittman. I see that game, them being able to run the ball all over Houston once they get into a lead. If it's not Pittman early, the other two games are playing 3 games. If you're counting DK, are playing catch up. So Pittman, Shepard, Mooney. But if you got to play DK, Shepard, Mooney.
I don't know. I'll go with what you're saying there. Boyd, for some reason, I think could show up like you had mentioned earlier. You're right. Chase, I have a good feeling about, and Boyd could be that guy that fills in. Yeah. Buffalo ain't shit. She's agreeing with you even before you said it in the show for the game. She has Eckler as well. Le'Veon is irrelevant. We went over that question already. Darko says, Fantasy Life says Mike Williams is expected to play. Spencer thought she had a fire team. Real talk. How about them Cowboys? Cowboys? Should I trade Lockett or keep him? Good question.
I'm fine trading Lockett if it fills a need. Like, if you're going to trade Lockett and you get another wide receiver, does that help you with bye weeks? Are you getting somebody a little more consistent? Or are you going to get a running back because you need depth? You're going to get a solid tight end because you need one? If it fills a need, I'm fine with trading players like that.
She has Mike Williams and Devontae Adams already.
Well, Mike Williams is a little hurt, and you're worried about it. So if you trade Tyler Lockett, you better get yourself somebody with some consistency.
All right. Kerbert is the starter. Yes, he is. That's what Chad was agreeing to. I'm not sure who she's saying Green Bay will smoke. Thoughts on T. Higgins?
First game back last week. Last week was the Chase show. It was only Chase. Nobody else did anything. But it's going to sway. Teams are going to adjust eventually. The touchdown streak has to end at some point, doesn't it? Maybe not, but you can't put all your targets to Chase. Higgins is fine. He's a fine wide receiver 3. Most weeks.
Right. Chad saying Higgins come back, ruin Boyd. That's my thoughts.
I don't know. I feel like Chase just kept getting wide open. And Boyd didn't do anything. Neither did Higgins. They didn't need to. Chase was doing it all. But that won't be every week. Teams will adjust. Good defenses will adjust.
All right, I'm going to skip over a couple of these comments. They were answering the questions that you were asking them before. Darko thought Cincy's going to win 34-24. Chad says it's going to get unleashed. What's going on there, Matt? What's up, Alan?
Matt from YouTube.
Oh, yeah, another YouTuber. I like it.
Oh,
he has your Lakers he has as his picture. I'm not a LeBron guy.
Well, my Lakers are pre-LeBron Lakers. I'm sorry if I offended you. Hopefully you're still with us. Not a Bron fan. Big Laker fan. Magic Johnson, Kobe. That was my... And until then, I wanted that young team to do something with Ball and Kuzma and the likes. But whatever.
Right. She says, no way. Jamar gets 1 touchdown easy.
Probably, but sooner or later he doesn't.
I like Allen's here. Make my Beckett 9 Swift RPA go to the moon. I like that. Hawkinson hasn't produced. He hasn't been. But again, ebbs and flows, guys. Ebbs and flows. I think you're overthinking it. Bengals would be favored by 9 in Cincy.
I feel like they would be favored by double digits easily. I think this should be a 6-point line.
It's between St. Brown or Tim Patrick for me. Half-point PPR.
Josue, that's tough. St. Brown's like, I feel like you're going to get a touchdown with Patrick, and that's going to erase the additional receptions that you get from St. Brown. So I would go with your gut. And do you think St. Brown's going to score a touchdown? I think if and when they get close, they're not using him. So I probably go Patrick, but I don't really like it. So go with your gut.
All right. I have Schultz all day. He's getting it consistently
Yeah.
on my bench.
Ever since Gallup went down, but don't get too upset. Gallup comes back, and then what you should do is trade Schultz.
All right. He was saying that the Lions coach is going to cry again.
I like that.
Chad said Hilton is playing. Thanks for the heads up. Leah thinks that Wentz should start. That's a good call. The lateral call was BS, dude. Me and Guess were talking about it, and there's clear as day that the ball went backwards. Like you could see the angle from the sideline. Like I don't know how they missed that. Maybe. In one league, I'm starting Colts D, and in the other, Browns D. Almost like playing fire and ice. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah.
Alan would start Shepard or Tony on this one.
Shepard was what I said. I'd rather start Shepard in this one.
Chad has Henderson in over 80% of his leagues. Darko playing Sony this week. All right.
I think they're both. I think it's going to be like close to a 50-50. It should be.
All right. Yikes. You don't have anything better. I guess that's the Darko's thing. They need to sit Jones. He could hardly walk last week. Don't start any Giants player. Oh, start McColl. You had mentioned yes if Tyreek Hill is banged up. Do you still feel it?
If there ever was a week that I would say start him, it's this one because you could beat Washington's secondary and they're going to be slinging because they're angry and Hill's a little banged up. So if there ever was a week, it's this one.
All right, Leah praying it's McColl. He's my sleeper, but I can't start him. Or shoot, should it be McColl over Gaskin or Williams? She says.
Yeah, I still like Mike Williams. Still want the sure thing.
Alan, wasn't Khalil Herbert a guesstimator?
I don't think he was. I can't remember. I know it was Cephas, Felton. Was he week 4? Can't remember.
I would have to look. I don't remember off the top of my head, to be honest with you.
But he was somebody that we mentioned before anybody else did, because that's what we do at Answers by Guess.
Darko had guessed Jarrett Patterson because it was that same game since they're playing the Skins. So.
It's a good guess, but
football
people know who he is. I'm going to try and give you somebody you don't know. People remember him from the preseason. They don't remember Derek Gore.
Talking about Gore, I've got Singletary and David Johnson in one league. I'm so thin this week. Start Gore?
No. I'm fine with those two. Those two are playing. I'm giving you a guesstimator to try and get you somebody to play next week and the weeks forward before anybody else even knows that they're involved. There's a chance that Gore doesn't even play. You got to remember that. When I'm giving you the guesstimator, I'm giving you somebody that no one is talking about, that no one knows is even breathing.
Goes right into Jeremy's comment. Derek Gore is 0% rostered in Yahoo leagues. Flex on him there, bud. Should I start Thielen, Boyd, or running back Herbert?
Herbert.
It's a PPR.
I
agree. Yeah, take Herbert. Just trade OBJ already. Yeah, that's what it has to happen. You had mentioned, what team were you saying? Okay, him going back to the Giants, right?
Yeah. I don't know if that's going to happen now that everybody's back. I don't know. They need to trade him, though. Somebody needs him more than
Allen, Arizona versus Browns. He thinks it's going to be a shootout.
Yeah, in the 30s, I think.
Who's nervous about A.J. Brown this week?
Not me.
All right. Good stuff. Yeah, we are good stuff. It's been 6-7 years since Odell was at his peak.
He had the one catch.
That's what got his stardom. I mean, he really hasn't done too much after that. Traded Josh Gordon and Tim Patrick for Javonte Williams today.
Great move.
Definitely. I totally agree. Yeah, my bad. Carson's out. He's on IR. Missed that one. Darko's playing Collins since Carson is on IR. Oh, crap. Jump down on me. Here we go.
Oh, yeah,
Chaz, let's go Buffalo. Titans need to lose if the Colts want any chance at that division. Henry's greatest running back of modern time. I'm not even a Titans fan, but he's a machine. He sure is. He is a freaking machine. All right, now we're back to the questions from before. Right. Jose, St. Brown, Patrick, or Felton as a flex pay, half-point PPR.
It's back to St. Brown or Patrick. I think it was you that asked that question. So you must have taken Felton off because you heard what I said. Yeah, listen, again, he was the week 3 guesstimator, so I love Dimitri Felton. I like what he can do. They're not using him enough. When they were, Baker wasn't hitting him. Something's off with Baker's shoulder, which is well documented. He's not being accurate. And it's St. Brown or Patrick. I think St. Brown's going to have much more receptions. He could get to double-digit targets. But I feel like Patrick's going to score a touchdown, and that could nullify it. So I want you to go with your gut on those two.
Okay. I remember Wayne Goldman was the other guesstimator instead of Khalil Herbert.
Mm-hmm. And that sucked.
Darko, my guy's dropping like flies. When will it end?
Week 18.
Excellent answer. Jose, thoughts on Rashad Penny when he gets back? You've always been a Penny fan, man.
Big Penny fan. He can't stay healthy, so I don't know. I feel like it's a waste. I honestly feel like it's a waste. I think that he needs to get traded or go somewhere else. And just maybe it's like the cold weather that is getting to him in Seattle. Like he needs to go to the Dolphins or something and try and get a revival.
All right, Antonio. So I'm in a bind. If Harris is ruled out, do I pick up Stevenson or pick up one of these guys? Dylan, McNichols, David Johnson, Sony, Barber, or P. Ryan?
I think Sony. Again, I'm not huge on him, but I don't think Henderson stays healthy, so he might be somebody you want to roster. I think Dylan definitely needs to be rostered. I think David Johnson is somebody that, based on what I've been saying the past 2 weeks and what we finally saw last week, works. But if Harris is ruled out, I think you would go Stevenson. I don't know. David Johnson is... You have to rely on coaches for David Johnson to produce. And isn't that so sad? So he's the best running back they have, the most able, the strongest and fastest, at least the combo of the two put together. But you just have to hope that the Houston coaches do what they should. They did it last week, but will they do it again? It's like if I had to rank them in order, I don't think Harris is going to be ruled out, first of all. So I'd probably put Stevenson third. I think I would pick up Dylan because he's going to give you top-tier offense with a week 14 bye, I think. So you'll be able to use him for quite some time.
I think Green Bay is week 14.
So I think I would pick up Dylan, and although you're not going to have smash production, if anything ever happens to Aaron Jones, you do. On a very good offense with a very late bye. So it wraps you up straight through the season.
It's funny. They traded for David Johnson. They gave up DeAndre Hopkins, and they don't use him. Yeah. Antonio, Pittman or Jacobs?
Jacobs. Is that Josh Jacobs?
I would assume so.
I'm probably going to go Pittman.
Yeah, going against Houston, I would probably go Pittman as well. Shepard, Lamb, Pittman, and McLaurin. Need two.
I'm definitely going McLaurin. And I want to say Lamb, but I'm going to stick with Shepard. I think he bounces back and picks right up where he left off. The only downside with Shepard, and somebody mentioned it, don't start any Giants, is if Daniel Jones doesn't get through this game. But Mike Glennon fed Tony quite well. And that
Lennon looked better than Daniel Jones said sometimes.
Maybe that's the old quarterback 2 reserve wide receiver thing that Rob brings up all the time, which would not be good for Shepard. But I just think that Tony is going to be shadowed by Ramsey this week. So I would go McLaurin and Shepard. Lamb would be a close third.
I'm going to go Pittman and Scary Terry. I really think Pittman's going to have a game. And T.Y. Hilton's just a distraction. I still think it still gets pumped to Pittman. Mm-hmm. Allen, pick 2 PPR. Sutton, Lockett, Higgins, Tony, Herbert, and Shepard.
I got to play Herbert. I think he's David Montgomery this week. At his best. 20 touches minimum. Like, that's hard. I mean, even if he gets 15 carries, 5 receptions, I mean, and it should be more than that, really. 20 touches minimum. Like, you can't not play that. And out of those, I'm probably going to go Sutton. I think Sutton has another good game against a weak Raiders secondary and also I think that the Raiders offense plays well. I think that they have, it's like, breath of fresh air. No more Gruden. And nothing against, but aside from all this nonsense, nothing against Gruden. I just feel like he's a tough coach. He was a tough coach. I feel like they probably got a little bit, it was probably a softer week of practice this week. Because everything that happened, it's like, well, take it easy on you. We'll go through it. And usually players respond to that. It's like, God, I was finally able to breathe. Now I'm going to go out here and have some fun. So I think the Raiders offense shows up. I'm going to go Sutton and Herbert.
All right. Matt has a kind of a long question. It's a 2-parter almost in a way. Got offered Diggs and Monty for Zeke and Sutton. What should I do? Let me know if I should consider or try to renegotiate. Those are his starters. Hurt, Zeke, Hunt, Bobby Trees, Deontay. Oh, you're shaking your head.
Wait. I want Zeke and Sutton over Diggs and Monty. Monty's going to be out for at least 5 more weeks, right?
So he said if he had to renegotiate, this is the other team that he would be looking at. I don't think there's anybody here. I think you keep what you have.
Zeke's killing it. He's doing what we thought he would do. He's lean, mean, spoon-eating machine.
He hasn't done it really at all this year.
He said he was going to stop doing that. He said that.
He has.
Yeah.
John H. with the question, PPR flex, Booker or Tony, or sit Thielen and play the other 2?
I don't like Booker. I mean, Tony's not going to get shut out. I just don't like Ramsey guarding them all game, which I think that's going to happen. I mean, it could happen that they put Shepard in the slot. I don't think that would be the smart offensive move. Shepard should be on the outside, even though Tony played on the outside quite a bit last week, but that's because they had no other options. Everybody else was out. He had to. So I would flex Tony and play Thielen, just because I'm not feeling Booker. I'm not feeling it.
All right, Danny Dimes or Heineke?
And you got to play Heineke. I love
that guy. All right, Alan with another one. Trey, Tim Patrick, and Josh Gordon. Oh, sorry. What were your thoughts on that? You like that, right?
Yes. Yep.
All right, Spencer. Start 3 out of these 4. Najee, Swift, Cook, Henderson.
Well, you got to play Dalvin Cook. You got to play Najee. And it's between Swift and Henderson. I'll probably go Swift. He's going to catch a ton of balls.
All right, Spencer with another one here. Also, Tannehill or Tua start in Superflex. I have Kyler Murray, my starter.
I'll roll the dice with Tua in this one. I know I said that the Titans are going to beat the Bills, but I think they beat it with a lot of Henry, some checkdowns, and I do like the wide receivers. But I can't pass up a chance to have a piece of the London game. Wake up, sip my tea.
All right, Alan with another one. Pick up defense this week: Minnesota, Jags, Miami, Lions, Seahawks, Browns, or Bears.
Oh gosh, I don't know. Like you might as well just take a shot with the Jags and just hope that they force Tua into some turnovers. Maybe Agnew runs one back. I mean, that's all you can really do. Miami's opportunistic. Maybe Miami. One of those two. I think there'll be
Yeah,
a defensive touchdown in that game.
or a kick return kind of thing. Yeah, that probably would be. That's the excitement that you didn't get out of the Jets and Atlanta game that they probably want to see. Start one: Waddle, AJ Green, or Mooney.
Tua back. Waddle's best games were with Tua. I think Mooney's going to be needed, but I think I go Waddle with no Devontae Parker. Mooney does still have A-Rob there. Waddle.
All right, start three: two wide receivers, one flex. Lockett, Shep, Sutton, Higgins, AJ, Dillon, Tony, Javonte Williams, or Bateman.
I think I'd go Shep, Sutton, Javonte Williams. Only thing that's even close, I know you like Higgins, and we talked about Tony enough, would be Dillon, but I would go Shep, PPR machine, Sutton. I think he has a big game. Javonte Williams coming out party.
All right. Start McLaurin, who's 50-50 questionable, or replace with Tim Patrick, AJ Dillon, Drake, Mooney, or St. Brown.
McLaurin. Play McLaurin.
Even if he's banged up, he's D-Hop Jr. I mean, you gotta.
Mm-hmm.
Pick two: McLaurin, Mooney, AJ Green, Hardman, or Tim Patrick.
McLaurin. I feel like you have to go Mooney. As much as I want to go Hardman in the same game, Patrick, because I know he's going to score a touchdown. What do you think, Rob? I'm going to go McLaurin for sure.
I'm gonna go Tim Patrick.
Yeah, go for it. I do think that game's going to be a high-scoring game, so do it. McLaurin, Tim Patrick.
Sean H., I'm completely screwed. What do I do now? Ha ha ha. I thought that might be rhetorical. Sorry, rhetorical unless actually have good advice. Traded away Mahomes and Hill for CMC, Patterson, and Jalen Hurts before CMC news.
I mean, them the breaks, right? Jalen Hurts is still doing fine for fantasy. And it's not a dynasty league, so you're not going to be killed with that. CMC will be back. Patterson continues to kill it. You can use him in two different positions. Hill's a little banged up. Mahomes been struggling. I mean, on paper, it's not terrible, but hindsight's 2020. If you thought CMC was going to be back this week, listen, you made this trade. You basically got Jalen Hurts and Patterson for Mahomes and Hill. And on paper, Mahomes and Hill blow them out of the water. But if you look at the stats, I'm going to guess that Jalen Hurts and Patterson, they could even be outscoring Mahomes and Hill at this point. So you also got CMC on top. So although you don't get to use CMC this week, your team's not done. Your team's not dead. It doesn't have to be the best players. It has to be the players that score the most points. And that's kind of being made clear with Cordarrelle Patterson. He's not the best. He's scoring a ton of points. You got him.
You know what's funny is like when I see Patterson running, like when I was watching the Jets game last week, he's so stiff. Mm-hmm. Like as soon as they touch his legs, he goes over. Like if he actually had a little bit bounce to him, if he wasn't as tall as he's
a wide receiver.
Yeah, I think he would be so much better.
Mm-hmm.
Pick three: McLaurin, Boyd, Hollywood Brown, Waddle, or Kirk.
McLaurin, Boyd, Waddle.
All right. Mooney over Brown. Brown isn't a volume play with you saying A-Rob having a potential good game.
Which Brown? Hollywood?
Hollywood. Yeah, he had mentioned Hollywood before.
Um, I don't know. Yeah, I think I would still play Hollywood for now. But you know, what do you think?
I like Mooney, man. I think Mooney just you said it before. Justin Fields likes Mooney. A Rob obviously he's going to be looked at. It should be they're going to have to throw the ball.
Yeah,
I'm just going to go from a volume standpoint where
yeah, it's fine.
Bateman. You don't know what Bateman's going to do to Andrews and Hollywood. That's the X factor where we kind of know what you're getting on a Mooney and A Rob right now with having to throw.
Right. Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, they're going to need him against the Chargers,
yeah,
Hollywood, but they have other weapons. The Bears do too, but I don't know. I think it's very close. I think those two. I think very, very close.
this
Hollywood.
is a good question, I think. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just want to say Hollywood has the much better quarterback, and that's why I went Hollywood.
Start Javonte Williams or Herbert.
God, Allen.
I think you're flipping a coin on this one, man. I think you're going to get production out of both of them.
I think sheer volume because Gordon is still there. You roll the dice with Herbert.
All right. Matt P with a question. Herbert or Sutton, PPR?
Gosh, you people.
I'm going Sutton.
I know. I think I am too. PPR did it for me.
Yeah. All right. Injuries galore. Start 2. Singletary, David Johnson, Alex Collins, Dearness Johnson, and Felton.
I mean, the answer is David Johnson and Alex Collins, but I'm not playing Alex Collins, especially with Geno Smith. So I'm going to go Singletary and David Johnson.
All right.
When I said the answer, I meant like the answer that the world would give you.
Singletary. Answers by guess there, guys.
No.
Chad, pick 3, half-point PPR. Bobby Trees, Tyborg, Tyler Boyd, Human Joystick, Terrius Tony, Old Fashioned, Allen Robinson, OBJ, or Money Mooney.
I love
nicknames.
He has the best nicknames. I feel like we were having a text conversation. He's BMW. You know who BMW is?
I couldn't figure out who's BMW.
Big Mike Williams.
Oh, I like that.
I love that.
That was a great one.
Is he making these up?
I know. I saw the Human Joystick in Tony. That was one of the articles that we had posted in one of our videos.
I love it. Old fashioned. Allen Robinson. Yeah. Pick 3. Okay. Gosh. Can I recommend old fashioned to you?
You're not allowed to anymore.
Yeah, I think you go Bobby Trees, Ty Bork, and Money Mooney, I guess, since I can't say Allen Robinson.
That's the 3 I would choose as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Wentz or Tua?
I'd go Tua.
I would go Wentz.
Yeah.
Ooh, YouTuber.
Saul?
Pick 1, Allen Robinson, Cole Beasley, or Henry Ruggs, half-point PPR.
Now, see, this sucks because you just told me I'm not allowed to recommend Allen Robinson anymore.
No, you could. Of course you can.
You know what? I'm not shying away from Allen Robinson because last week was my smash spot, Saul. I don't know if you watched us last week, but I'm very happy that you're here watching us this week. Allen Robinson was my smash play last week, but they didn't need him. They controlled the game. The passing was not necessary. This week, the passing will be necessary against Green Bay. I want to catch the Allen Robinson it finally happened game rather than watch it happen and then put him in the lineup next week and it doesn't happen. So if you have the stomach that I do, you play Allen Robinson. If you don't, I go ahead with Henry Ruggs. Beasley's he's got the easiest secondary to play against earlier in the show. I think Tennessee's going to win this game. I just think that they're going to do what they can to keep that offense off the field as much. And they have so many other weapons. They still have Gabe Davis. They're using Knox, Old Man Sanders, Diggs. So Beasley could come through for you, but I would go Allen Robinson and just pure volume, bounce back. They're going to need him this week. They didn't need him last week. Coaches are finally letting Fields throw the ball. He just didn't have to last week. So that's what I would do. I'd go Allen Robinson. But if you don't have the fortitude to do so, I'd go Ruggs.
Yeah. I think you're right with Allen Robinson on this one. Henry's middle of the pack with 4.5 yards per carry. He just has 58 more attempts than the next closest player. Yeah, I mean the volume.
Yeah. Which is why Darrington Evans is somebody that people should be scooping, especially because Jeremy McSuckles and the other one are a little banged up. And I think Evans is going to play Monday night, and it's the big stage. Everybody's watching. So if you don't scoop Darrington Evans, and just if you got an open spot on your bench, I know our guesstimator for the week was Derek Gore, because nobody knows who Derek Gore is, and I think that he could be the most productive Kansas City back this week. You go for Darrington Evans, because most people don't even know him other than name. He hasn't really had a chance to play after being a rookie last year. And for the very reason that you just mentioned, Darko, they have to take a little off his plate. And what better time than Monday night against the Buffalo Bills at home? You scoop them now, you hold them, you see.
In our Dynasty League last year, I actually drafted Darrington Evans with the hopes that he was going to be that third down back for them, that relief almost in a way. Unfortunately, I had to drop him and make moves during bye weeks. And you have him now, I'm assuming?
I got him.
Yeah.
He's chilling.
Tell him I said what's up. All right, number one, Fant or Mo Alley Cox?
You got to go Fant. I like Mo Alley Cox. Usually puts together a 2 or 3 game streak. He would be on game 3 of that. But because I think that they would be able to run all over Houston, I'm going to go Fant.
All right.
You got another question. She got another question there.
I'm sorry. Number 2, Sutton, Marvin Jones, or Tony?
While I might want to do Marvin Jones, and while I love Kadarius Toney, we've talked about him before, everybody else knew about him, I'm going to go with Sutton.
Sutton seems to be the theme. Antonio, Dallas or Arizona?
Tough one. Both on the road. One against a rookie, one against an injured. I'll take Dallas.
That's who I would go with as well. Jeremy says, I think I would go with Wentz if I'm starting Gesicki and Waddle. That's a lot of people you would put in AF Tua. I mean, that's relying on them a lot.
Or you're getting tons of double BBs. We love that double BB.
All right. You're welcome, Saul. I'm glad you're joining us, man.
Thank you. Every Tuesday night, and typically it's Sunday mornings, but we've been doing Saturday night. And I kind of like the Saturday night. Maybe we'll put a little poll on the page, see if we switch it up. We don't do the Sunday mornings anymore. We just do Saturday nights. I mean, we're old. We don't have too much of a nightlife. We ain't got nothing else going on. Might as well do it. I kind of like it. We'll see how it goes.
All right, Chad. Where do you think Mac ends up, if anywhere? I know KC looked into him.
Yeah, I mean, there's tons of them. There's KC, there's Baltimore, there's Seattle. Right, just off the top of my head.
I think Miami's a sneaky play for him.
Miami was my original call, yeah.
Yep. That's right. You did mention them.
There's a ton. He's got to go somewhere. He's got 2.5 weeks left, so less than 2.5 actually at this point, November 1st. So we'll see. We'll see.
I was gonna say San Francisco, but Jeff Wilson Jr. should be coming back fairly soon too.
Yeah.
That's somebody I would be paying attention to, just because you know how many running backs they go through. I like Eli Mitchell. Sermon seems to be in the doghouse a little bit, but somebody to pay attention to. When Wilson's healthy, he is somebody that Shanahan uses a lot.
Sure.
Guess we've been on for 2 hours and 15 minutes.
I love it.
It's been wonderful. All the comments, the fact that we actually had to repost comments on the bottom in our program here, that's pretty awesome, man.
For the record, Chad likes the Saturday night shows. Maybe we'll keep it going. I mean, it works. Our schedules are free. The kids are sleeping, right? The wives are home for the most part, and we got time. We don't have to rush it in the morning. People can have their coffee and the information if they got extra questions about that. I mean, I don't know. I kind of like it.
Yeah, I'm an old man. I'll usually home Saturday nights.
Yeah.
So, all right. Like you said, Chad, he likes it. Okay, let's see if you guys cancel yourselves on Tuesday.
I didn't make any promises. My only promise was that A-Rob would ball out. They didn't need him. That's the only reason we're back, because they didn't need him. So it was unfair. And it would have been unfair to you if we did not come back. So we're here, and we will see you on Tuesday. Why did we not have guests this Tuesday?
I just think we kind of didn't go with the flow. I think we just got into a bunch of questions, and by the time we were talking about putting on guests, we were already on for about an hour and 15 minutes, an hour and 20 minutes.
And then this Tuesday is going to be a late show. It's going to be probably like 10.
Yeah, 10 p.m. Eastern, guys. I know, yes, you have something to do that evening, as well as I have to cover as well. So,
all right. So maybe we might even be able to do 9:30 though, because I think that the conferences only go till 8. Takes me about a half an hour to get home. Probably takes Sandy less.
Yeah, about same.
So, yeah. So maybe like 9:30. But we'll put it out there. It'll be Tuesday night. We'll do our Tuesday night show. If anything, a half hour to an hour later than normal. But we'll see you all there. And if the questions are quick and the show's quick, we could have some guests. I don't know. I want some people on. So if you think it's you, why don't you send us a PM and say, hey, I might want to come on. And that way Rob knows who he's got to get the link to.
Yeah, I mean, I could post a link probably in the comments here. Some of the YouTubers, maybe, if they wanted to join on as well. I do have the ability to kind of look to see who's joining on and stuff like that. So maybe we can make it work. But as always, guys, like and follow us: Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and Patreon. All
right. Good luck tomorrow. Let's get it done. And this is when it begins. This is why you're here. And let's see if our guesstimator hits this week. Derek Gore, Kansas City Chiefs.
All right, guys. Answers by guess. Good luck. Peace.
See ya.